Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for allowing me to come and talk to you about the Red Sea project. I'll explain a little bit about the project, the role that we have there, what we're doing with the context of Vision 2030, and take you through some of the digital techniques that we're employing on that project. Thank you for the great introduction. Yes, I'm David Glennon. I've been in the Kingdom probably about 4 months now. I'm very lucky my family joined me a couple of months ago. I'm having a fantastic time there. I was based in the UK before that, spent 20 years in the UK working mainly through Europe, the Middle East and India, Africa, a little bit in Australia, but been doing that over the last 20 years working on the contractor side for a developer. And for a number of consultants. You'll see a few of them there. I've got one of my old colleagues, Tim Shelton, here with Arcadis. Can I give a quick show of hands? Has anyone heard of the UK BIM Alliance or Building Smart? Okay, good. Well, I'd absolutely, I'd really recommend that you go spend some time, look at what's going on with the UK BIM Alliance. That's where there's an awful lot of knowledge, an awful lot of free resources there to deliver projects in a good practice way. And Building Smart, a great place to go find some international standards of how to deliver open BIM. So two signposts there, look at UK BIM Alliance and Building Smart. So a bit about the project. This is our board. Our chairman is His Royal Highness. And they're the ones that provide the governance and leadership for our project. There's a couple of great names in here. So we've got the 5th President of the Maldives, a couple of other examples of people on the board. So we've got the CEO of NEOM, which is one of our sister projects. So we've got NEOM, Qiddiya and the Red Sea, the 3 giga projects to deliver Vision 2030. And this chap down here, John Pagano, he's our CEO for the Red Sea Development Company. He made his name, well, I know him having been brought up in the UK. I know him, he was the person who was the CEO for Canary Wharf, a huge commercial development in London. One of the first towers in London, almost as tall as one of the towers that you'll see here in Dubai. But he spent a lot of time all around the world as a CEO for development companies. But the project is supported by the government to deliver Vision 2030. Vision 2030, it's a way. What we're basically doing is opening up the kingdom. So we're trying to encourage, tourism, investment. And sort of reduce the reliance on oil within the kingdom. But the Red Sea project, our contribution to that will have 70,000 new jobs. We'll be contributing 22 billion SAR to the nation's GDP. I believe I've got a video. There's a video coming in a moment. The other thing that I hadn't realised about the Red Sea before I joined is how close it is to many different tourist markets. So it's only 7 hours from the UK, 6, 7, 8 hours from many places in Europe. So there's this huge catchment area of people that could potentially come to the kingdom for tourism. We're about 300 kilometres south from NEOM. A quick show of hands, who's heard of NEOM? Yeah, so more people have heard of that. It's huge, a huge project. And 1,300 kilometres away from Qiddiya, which is very close to Riyadh. So, if you have a quick look at this video, I like this video.
Pristine.
Just try and imagine building a construction, doing a construction project here, trying to keep this beautiful place and just deal with the logistics of delivery here.
Unspoilt. Discover this exotic and awe-inspiring land with a fabled past, formed over millions of years, where you can explore a vast archipelago of white sandy islands, vibrant blue seas, thriving coral reefs, ancient volcanoes, desert oases, mountains, and spectacular archaeological sites. Authentic beauty at its very best, stretching 28,000 square kilometers along Saudi Arabia's western coast. This is the Red Sea Project. Come with us on an exploration of these magnificent and remarkable environments and experience the warm welcome and renowned hospitality of the Saudi people, a place shaped and inspired by the ancient trading routes between Asia, Africa, and Europe. This is a place that lights the senses and steals the breath of all fortunate enough to experience it, with an ecosystem of extraordinary diversity where life flourishes above and below the sea. The Red Sea Project will offer a world of unique and innovative experiences, thousands of years in the making. Join us on this journey to create a breakthrough international tourism destination. A place where luxury is being redefined, where sustainability and conservation are the cornerstone, where technology enables us to safeguard the environment and provide new and enhanced personalized guest experiences, where we are committed to protecting this spectacular place and leaving it even better than we found it. This is a place where wonders will rise from the sands and dramatic landscapes will come together to take your breath away. Immerse yourself in the splendor of this unique paradise and discover a constellation of experiences unlike anywhere else on Earth. The Red Sea Project. Experience the wonder.
Great stuff. So I don't know if anyone spotted that the lady doing yoga on top of a mountain. I'm looking forward to seeing that in reality. And I'm not a huge fan of showing a video in a presentation, but I can't think of a better way to sort of demonstrate that the different environments that we're going to be dealing with. If you look at some of that, absolute beauty of that environment as well, the wildlife that's there, the coral. So we're going to develop that area, construct in that area, bring tens of thousands of people to that area to build it, deal with all the different logistical challenges that we're going to have. I mean, it's just so complex. But that video, I think, shows how complex that's going to be. To talk a bit about the project itself, we're sort of split into two phases. So phase one, delivery by end of 2022. So you can see we've got quite a compressed timescale there. We'll have 5 islands developed, two assets that will be inland for 3,000 keys, and then the second phase, or the following phases, up through to 2030, with many different islands developed from there. So to sort of try to give you an idea of the scale. Well, actually, I suppose just so where if you've ever been to Belgium in Europe, the Red Sea, it's just slightly smaller than Belgium. That's the size of the project that we're going to be delivering. As you can see, a lot of it's based on the islands, which is fantastic, and there's a number of like inland areas as well, including the volcano village. But what we're trying to do is provide a number of different experiences for someone who goes to that resort. I'll speak now about the sustainable side. So this is absolutely the cornerstone of what we're doing on the Red Sea. If you really think about it, the environment and some of the natural features that you find there, that really is the product. And if we end up destroying the product as we create the hospitality area, we'll have no product to sell anymore. So we've looked at a number of different ways to deliver that, including following a number of international standards. But to make that a bit more real, when we did the initial master plan, you can see how well developed some of the islands are, and then as we went through and developed the design more and started to get the environmental reports, you can see that we've ended up with much smaller hotels and much smaller number of keys and rooms on those islands. So we've recognised that if we're not mindful of how we develop, we'll end up with no product to sell. And another interesting story, apparently if you want to find out where the best place in the world to put a hotel is, you need to follow turtles. Because when we went out to have a look at all the different islands, there's been every place that when created the master plan, someone thought that's the perfect place to put a hotel. the turtles had got there before us. And we've chosen not to develop on a number of islands because that's where the turtles go and breed and lay their eggs. So we've set aside a number of islands for conservation. In the guts of that, how we're delivering it and how we're going to operate the asset, it won't be through traditional means. We're going to have to generate a lot of our energy on site, deal with water and wastewater on site, and how we deal with the waste. So that's not just during the construction phase, it's during operation. So I suppose what I'm trying to do there is tell the story of some of the opportunities we have to deliver this project in a different way. So logistics is going to be a huge challenge, getting those materials to site, building on site, getting the people to and from site. Quality, sustainability I've spoken about a number of times, and that really challenging timescale that we're going to be delivering that in. So in order to do that, there's sort of three main planks to make the project viable. One's around offsite manufacturing and construction, one's around developing the lean processes, and the third one's pioneering construction technology. So I'll probably focus on the bottom two of that. But briefly a bit about how we're going to be constructing it. So I've spotted a few people that we're working with or trying to work with already, but we're looking at different methods of construction in order to reduce the impact on the environment, but also make it viable in terms of cost and time. And looking at many different types of materials in order to make it possible as well. So I'll try and catch up some time. One of the important bits is our smart destination strategy. So we're trying to create a new experience for someone going to a hospitality asset. So this is where the sort of smart city thinking comes in. So it's a much smaller scale, but we're really focusing on that customer experience. So because it's a sort of greenfield or a fresh site, we're able to implement a number of different technologies and ways of working and ways of delivering the assets, and then tying those together at the design and construction stage through operations. So we're connecting up a number of smart services. Probably the best way to describe that is if I take you on the journey of someone choosing to stay at one of our assets. So the experience starts before when someone's having an idea that they want to go on holiday. So we'll be allowing our guests to have an AR/VR experience. I believe it's going to be mainly VR, but it will allow people to go and experience the hotels and the restaurants and the rooms and some of the facilities that are there before they get there. So someone will be able to, experience those assets, but more importantly, start to book some of their experiences. So if you remember, we're not expecting people to go to one location at the Red Sea. We're expecting them to travel through a number of different locations, and this is how they'll be able to, create that customer journey from having an idea that they want to go on holiday through to actually getting it booked, so they can start to prepare for their excellent holiday. Coupled with that, the airport experience. So what we want is when people land at the Red Sea, straight away that they feel like they've started their holiday. So not having gates, not having to go through passport control and immigration, using facial recognition technology. As soon as you get off the plane and start to walk through the airport, it doesn't feel like an airport, it feels like the start of your holiday, with high-level hospitality options there. Again, looking at sustainability, not jumping in a taxi to get there, to get to your hotel, but using autonomous vehicles that will take you to your destination. But the bit that I like is the smart luggage management. So you get off your plane and you jump into one of these pods that magically takes you to your hotel, and you haven't seen your luggage. Your luggage is magically will appear in your hotel room and will be there for when you've checked in. But because we're able to tie a lot of these systems together using IoT and sensors and the systems behind it, we're able to provide that new experience for people. And what I'm really talking about here is creating that digital twin. So we've worked out how we're going to focus on that customer experience and bring the different systems together. And I suppose my job now is to put in the foundations to allow that digital twin to be real. So I'll speak a little bit now about our digital delivery strategy. And as I said, I see this as the foundation to creating that digital twin. So I've spent a little bit of time looking at our, our path to digital maturity. I see that in three phases. I've called that project-centric focus, data-centric and customer-centric. So you can see as I'm starting to plug into smart destination, this is what I need to be doing, but I need to put the foundations in first in order for us to get there. So on our project, we're really focusing on design and construction. So that's the phase that we're at the moment. So the big bits for me is around our BIM delivery and our GIS delivery. An example of one of the things that I've really focused on is our digital design review. Because our time scales are so compressed, I need to find a different way to do digital design reviews. We're working with consultants all over the world on a number of assets concurrently. So a traditional design review just simply wouldn't work. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But what we're doing here is building the foundations, building that level of data so that we can then start to bring some analytics into it and start to automate some of the processes. Again, if we continue to work how we've worked traditionally, we won't get the project delivered in time. So being able to automate some of these processes and take out the need for reviews, take out the need for people to do the reviews, we're already starting to see the benefits from that, the way we're able to turn projects around much quicker. And then finally, as we start to build all this information, we've got the BIM model, we've got the data attached to it. That's how we're then able to plug it into the IoT and the sensors to create that digital twin to deliver the smart destination strategy. So that's our path to maturity. I'll talk a little bit about how we're delivering on the project-centric focus. So as a quick show of hands, I'm assuming that many people would be aware of employees' information requirements or exchange requirements, a BIM execution plan and a CDE. Do those terms make sense to most people? Okay, a few. Okay, thank you. So we're using international standards to deliver the projects, and this is how we're driving consistency. So we're running off the new international standard BS-EN ISO 19650, and that's a framework to allow us to deliver a good practice digital project. So we're one of the first to be doing that globally. I believe we're probably, therefore, probably one of the first to be doing that in the region, but already we're seeing the benefits of consistent working. The way we've also managed this is through the employees' information requirements comes from us as the client, where we explain to the supply chain what we require, but we've provided BIM execution plan templates to the supply chain to drive some consistency in how they're responding to us. So we're taking a much more proactive approach than we would typically see with clients. And then that collaborative delivery environment, again, we're providing the systems to the supply chain for them to collaborate with us. So again, we can drive a consistent way of working in there, as well as get visibility as to what's going on. I think this will be familiar to a few people. In order to deliver this, there isn't really a rule book that we can pick up. There's certainly no manual on how to deliver a giga project using some international standards. So we're having to be quite iterative in how we deliver these products and services. So we're using some lean startup principles. Here's an example that I like to use. And it's come from some lean design thinking. So the example is how would you build a car? To me, this seems like a really sensible way to go build a car. So you build a wheel, then you build a chassis, then a part of the body, then a little bit more of the body till eventually you build the car. But if you notice, if you look at the customer satisfaction, the customer gets no satisfaction until right at the end when the car is built. The other problem with that is that we're having to build it and we just hope at the end that the answer's right and someone's happy with what we build. So if we can change the question from how do we build a car to how do we get someone from point A to point B, which is what we're trying to do on the project, and start to split that up into stages. So if we build a skateboard and then we build a scooter and then a bike and then a motorbike, you'll notice that people are getting some joy and happiness from the system, so they're getting some satisfaction. But because we've been testing all these things along the way, we end up with a better product and we end up with more satisfaction on a rather the sports car than the saloon that we've got there or the hatchback that we have there. So what I'm trying to explain here is we've been working with the supply chain and they've been good at working with us in being really iterative with how we deliver. So every couple of weeks we're making tweaks to our processes, tweaks to our systems. Our delivery is improving, but it does mean that we're having to get everyone to work with us in a slightly different way. Things are going to change, and at the moment, everyone's working well with us on that. I'd like to think that our process will start to settle down soon, and it will just be how we deliver. We're also implementing some lean design or some lean thinking. One of the things that we're doing is using Kanban boards. So in a few of our offices, you'll see a load of post-it notes up on the wall. Has anyone heard of Kanban? Okay, good. So it's come from manufacturing, especially lean manufacturing. And it's just really simple. So we're getting people to work out what they need to do, what they're doing, and then what's been done. And we're simply moving post-it notes along a wall. Whilst it's a very simple concept, what it allows people to do is see what's going on in the different project teams and the different disciplines and the different assets, and see what's going on, and could they learn from what's going on elsewhere, or could they contribute to what's going on elsewhere. So we've got a great example of that at the moment, looking at floor-to-ceiling heights, something that affects everything, we're starting to see more people getting involved in those discussions. And the final one, the digital design review and big room reviews. So I've spoken a little bit about the digital design review, but all of that is now being handled electronically, and we're able to get our disciplinary teams and our multidisciplinary teams to work differently with our consultants, and sort of run through a digital design review much quicker. So the big thing that we've done is we've brought in a big room review. So we've got loads and loads of technology, but for critical decisions, we've got a really structured way of getting those key stakeholders into a room and running through what the big issues are, so that we're really clear with our supply chain what we're asking them to do. So whilst we've got all the technology in the world, getting back to people in a room with pen and paper and getting into a huddle to get issues dealt with is probably even more valuable than the technology, which I shouldn't be saying at technology conference. I'm looking forward to perhaps coming back next year, because we're starting to get to site now. We've got things coming out of the ground, and I'd like to see us getting into that constructability phase, but I believe that the work that we've done right now is the foundation to allow us to get there. So thank you very much.